Hello, quickly before we start this episode, I just want to thank the folks at the 411 Folks podcast. It's a British Simpsons podcast. It's very funny. I give it my quality seal of approval. And Zach Woods, who runs the whole Facebook page and the episodes there on that page, has been helping me out with my promotion of Uncle Mo's Family Feedbag itself. So you could go over to facebook.com and search the 411 Folks podcast and give it a little like and a share. They've been helping us, like I said before, with our podcast and promoting it. So if you could return the favour, that'd be great. Now on with your regularly scheduled programme.
Come to Uncle Mo's for family fun. It's good, 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 good.
Sounds good.
Hello and welcome to Uncle Mo's Family Feedback, where we look at the dizzying highs, the terrifying lows, and the cream middles of seasons 1 to 12 through the random episode generator. I'm always joined by Cal Reader. Cal, how are we doing?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm good. The Facebook page is up and running now.
It is.
We're official now. We are Uncle Mo's Family Feedbag A Simpsons podcast on Facebook. Strong, I think now 37 likes on the page. Always good.
Yeah.
I was expecting like 10 within 2
Yeah.
weeks, but people are actually supportive out here. It's good to know.
It's very good. One thing I didn't realise, because I'm admin on the group, how many fucking stupid notifications I get. Like, if you pay this amount, you could get up to 33,000 people liking. I was like, no.
Pay £16 for a week, you may get 19,000 likes.
But so it's never like 19k or anything like that. It's a very specific number. Like, well, if I'm paying that, I want that exact 33,281 pound people and half a fucking dwarf. I don't know, liking the page.
I want my money's worth, Zuckerberg.
Exactly. Come on, Zuckerberg, you fucking lizard.
And we are reviewing Season 2, Episode 22, Itchy and Scratchy and Marge, directed by Jim Reardon, written by John Swartzwelder, with the original air date being December 20th, 1990. The chalkboard gag, I will not pledge allegiance to Bart, and the couch gag is, the couch is missing, and all the family look puzzled, they all look around. Cal, what are your initial thoughts or memories of Itchy and Scratchy and Marge then?
So, it's obviously quite an early one. I remember this episode being played quite a bit, and I don't know if it's just because it got played quite a bit that it kind of annoyed me after a while, because it was just on all the time, and then just towards the end of the episode, it's like they love.
Yes, we will get into that great parody of a parody again.
But then I don't know, like rewatching it, I like it. It is a good episode. Like, it's still comparing it, because obviously how we're doing this is quite random on how we do it. Do the episodes. So sometimes it can be the later ones where the format's kind of a bit more traditionally how we kind of remember the Simpsons, and it's obviously still quite early on. There's not as much quirkiness and stuff. There's still, like, obviously, we'll get into it.
Yeah. Also, the director I've mentioned, Jim Reardon, he is considered, well, if David Silverman is the best, he is the very close second. I'll just read out a couple of episodes he's directed. Treehouse of Horror 2, Homer at the Bat, Mr. Plow, Lemon of Troy, 22 short films about Springfield, or better known as the Steamed Hams meme.
That is a good one.
So, he's not a lightweight. He's produced some crackers.
That is true. Is this the one? Because I remember looking at the credits, because I was trying to. I wasn't sure if the Walt Disney guy, I can't remember,
Roger Myers.
Yeah, Roger Myers. I didn't know if that was Al Brooks or not, and then I saw, I think it might have been Brad Bird produced it as well.
I believe he did.
Possibly.
That Roger Myers character, Alex Rocco, he was in The Godfather, and this was watched by 22 million people. Of course, the first 2 seasons had astronomical views. I mean, you look at modern telly now, shows are failing to bring in, 6-7 million views on average? It's amazing things what they did in the 90s. Just the peak of telly.
I don't know, it's still pretty good at the moment. I think we're definitely in a renaissance of TV where it's just the golden age of TV, where a lot of the TV shows coming out. Brad Bird did produce it. A lot of more TV shows that are coming out now are a lot of fact better than the films that are coming out.
Yeah, TV is definitely getting more cinematic, and with it spread into these online platforms and that, the
Yeah.
viewership's getting spread. So you're never going to reach, I don't know, 30 million for that EastEnders Christmas episode in 1992. It's going to be a lot more spread out. And we kick off this episode with Homer wanting to build Marge a spice rack. Now, I've noticed this a couple of times in season 2, but a lot more in season 3. Homer, the horrible DIY man.
I think they play on it a bit more in later seasons, like the one with the barbecue. He's more proud of his crappy stuff what he makes rather than kind of, why doesn't mine look like that?
It's like a small child with a bad painting. You just gotta accept the effort and hang it up on the
Yeah.
fridge. Hell, you've got a niece. I'm sure she can do a better spice rack than what Homer created here.
She's quite the carpenter, I must say. Some say she's a second coming of sorts.
As long as it ends up on the ground, she's happy with the work.
Exactly.
But yes, while Homer's busy trying to knock up his spice rack, the kids are busy watching Itchy and Scratchy here. Now, we'll make a massive deterrent here. Is Itchy and Scratchy... The fact it sounds to me that it's more famous than a lot of original running cartoons as well. Like, how does Itchy and Scratchy resonate with so many people, even though it's a very one-note joke?
Yeah.
Like, it's just extremely violent Tom and Jerry, but everyone knows who Itchy and Scratchy is.
I think that's it. I think it's just literally, it's a slapstick idea of it, where it's slapstick to the extreme, where what happens if Tom and Jerry could actually kill each other and violently murder each other in certain ways, and that's where it's just kind of, violence is always funny.
Well, they ended up getting that, didn't they, with the Happy Tree Friends? That is Itchy and
Well, that's
Scratchy
it, exactly.
IRL.
Yeah, exactly.
Homer is busy finished with his spice rack. He's proud of his work when Maggie, from out of nowhere, hits him with a hammer, like she has seen on Itchy and Scratchy, and a pitch-perfect Psycho reference, if I do say so myself. Everything from the score, the shots.
This is the thing with like the earlier Simpsons. They take a lot more care and a lot more pride to kind of do a shot-for-shot remake of famous films and stuff like that. I think it's especially when we go to certain ones, if we ever do Selma the Fish or whatever. The idea that way, like in a lot of the earlier Simpsons especially, where they were making fun of like Planet of the Apes and stuff like that, is because Planet of the Apes was kind of like the Star Wars for the generation who were writing it at the time.
Oh, definitely.
So it's kind of, especially like the earlier Star Wars, where not obviously Star Wars is more regarded now as like classic film, but like the original Planet of the Apes, for example, was so groundbreaking and like everybody loved them. And then by the time in the late 80s, early 90s and stuff, where people who originally watched them had kind of seen them as like hokey B movies, because progressively when they got there, they were all a lot more fresh. So that's especially coming now where, yes, some of them don't, some of the jokes don't necessarily make sense, because it'll be quoting people who, we don't have no idea who they are anymore. But certain ones, such as like the Psycho joke, it's just kind of timeless.
I remember watching these, well, with the main episodes where they have massive parodies of films and not getting it, but my mum and dad would get that chuckle here and there. And then again, it's rewatchability. It's rewatching it back when you have watched these classics and thinking, oh, that is fantastic. Like, it's not even a straight up parody. They always do a little twist, like the famous Treehouse of Horror, that's odd, the blood should come off at the second floor.
See, because another thing as well, which is interesting with the timeline of The Simpsons, because I think in the current timeline, in the newer episodes, Lisa was technically born in 2009. Yeah, and it's really weird how, like, I saw this video the other day by a YouTuber called Quentin Reviews, and he compared how, because the show's been going on for so long, it's quite impossible to kind of have like a timeline kind of thing. But the problem is because it's been going on for so long, there's a shot where this joke makes sense, and it was Milhouse and Bart, and they're getting Pogs, and they go, "Oh look, do you collect Pogs? Look, it's Alf. Alf's returning in Pog form." And I loosely remember like Pogs. I remember my sister having quite a few, but obviously they weren't really aimed. I was a bit too young to like grasp that kind of thing. And then it showed from one of the more recent seasons, and Lisa and Bart are in a junkyard, and they see an old TV, and they're like, "Look, it's like a normal TV, but it just keeps on going back." And it's just like, well, you guys are like technically in your 40s. like, like the series, the episode where it shows how Marge and Homer first met in like 79, I think it was supposed to be. Um, that was aired in like 1993, and then there's an episode from 2008 where Homer makes Nirvana, which is supposed to be 10 years after they went to high school together, and it's based in 1993. It's like it's weird how a show can be going for so long and just kind of catch up with their own stuff.
They're not afraid to retcon, really.
No, I think it'd be next to impossible to keep a whole running canon storyline, really.
Maggie ends up hitting Homer on the head. He's horribly concussed. He is injured. So Marge instills a ban on itching Scratchy in the house. No more itching Scratchy whilst they're at the house. So the kids manage to find a way to sneak around. Lisa goes to Janie's and watch it. Bart goes to Millhouse's to watch it. But Homer can't really understand what the issue is with the program. But Marge can, so she sends a letter to Roger Meyer Jr. Now I think Alex Rockham herself, I think he did a grand job at this.
Oh, definitely. He's one of my favourite characters. It's like a special guest kind of thing. He's in 3 episodes, 4 episodes, I think.
He's in 3 episodes, but the character's in a good 6 or 7. But while Rocco couldn't play it, they had Hank Azaria jump in, which is a shame, really. Unlike Fat Tony, where yeah, I don't know his name, the actor who did him was quoted saying, "If Fat Tony sneezes, I want in on it."
I think that's what you want there. Like, I'm googling who does Fat Tony now. It, originally, it was voiced by Phil Hartman, actually, surprisingly.
Oh wow!
I did not know that. By Joe Mantegna. I can't speak. Mantegna. He's in Godfather as well.
Yes, I do know that name. Something like
Maybe I could say it.
Marge writes a letter to Roger Meyer, but Roger Meyer's not having any of it. He's had hundreds of these letters. Now, this is leading into Marge protesting, but what can one screwball do in reality now? I mean, you've got this new term of fake outrage and outrage culture, and Twitter's such a platform where anyone can have a viral tweet about a program, and there's so much of an issue. What do you think in relation to what Marge's vision is here?
It's definitely because this is another thing where it. So the whole idea how something causes some like school shootings or something, causes violence in the public. It's been going on as long as history itself. There's a famous quote from a professor in the early 1800s where paper were becoming more um, practical to use and practical to produce and stuff like that. It's very easier to produce. So rather in schools, instead of using slates to write on chalk and then rub it off and stuff like that, they started introducing paper. And even people then was saying how it's never going to kick off. It's never going to be a thing. It just causes more hoodlums than anything because then people will be more susceptible to like drawing on stuff and things like that. That was in the 1800s about paper. It's always been a thing where like rock and roll isn't, it's the devil's music, and then screamo, and then video games cause shootouts and violence and stuff like that. It never happens purely, and it's always an interesting thing because it is kind of timeless, especially how like in the world what we're in today, where it's very easy to offend people, and it's very, we're in snowflake culture and all that. it's hard to forget that the people who are kind of like, you can't say that, it's offensive, and then getting really violent because you're offending someone. It's completely the same whack jobs like Marge in this episode, where it's just like, if you censor one thing, where do you draw the line? Like, if you get rid of, for example, Grand Theft Auto because it's teaching minors to go kill prostitutes and steal a car and go run down pedestrians and stuff, yet there's films like The Godfather, there's films like Scarface, for example, and Citizen Kane and what, not so much Citizen Kane, but there's violence everywhere in the world. Never mind this TV and culture and stuff. People are still gonna watch it. So people are still gonna read the violent books and do whatever. Yet it never. People aren't as nuts as you think to be able, because if it did affect the youth to be able to like make people want to kill everyone, every single person would have read Catcher in the Rye and gone and killed 700 different people. But they didn't. One crazy person read it, thought it meant kill John Lennon, and went and shot John Lennon in the streets of New York. It doesn't affect people like that. It's just, but it's always something. What will be timeless? Like at the moment, is video games. In 10 years, it might be something else. Game of Thrones glorifies rape. No, it doesn't. It never does. It does in one episode by accident, but it wasn't supposed to be written like that, and it just got edited weirdly. But it's shown as this disgusting kind of thing, and how crazy it is, and you should be more wary and kind of understanding to be able to talk to people and be like, no, that it isn't like that. But
Anything that is popular throughout the annals of history will have detractors just so they can detract.
all it is the previous generation not understanding it and not wanting to do. And what happens eventually is when people in, for example, our generation start eventually in about 10, 15 years, start making films and TVs and stuff like that, the culture changes and it becomes more acceptable. It's called the MTV generation, where everyone's like snippets and stuff like that. We've got video, well, we used to rip Vine, where you could make a video in 6 seconds, and it was more entertainment needs to be more snappier and more quicker. And you watch people, there'll be people who like from the older generation who only watch films from like the 50s to the 80s because you know it's you can fit more story. And yeah, we're getting like the auteurs wanting to make actual films and stuff like that now, to be more long-winded and more kind of like 2 hours of just basically a man shitting in a bucket, and you just, oh my god, it's modern art. It brings film back to what it used to be. But there's a reason why things develop, and then what it is the old generation doesn't like it, doesn't understand it mainly, and it's like, oh, I don't get that. Oh, fine, no, actually, it's really angry. It's ruining the youth. Everyone's now shooting up all schools and stuff like that. No.
Well, The Simpsons came up with the MTV generation. They feel neither highs nor lows.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the meh generation.
But Marge continues to analyse the Itch and Scratchy programme whilst Homer is getting into it. He never knew that cats and mouse led such interesting lives.
Don't do that! Don't do that! Hey, don't do that!
Take that, you dumb squirrel!
And one of the animators actually spots Marge out into the protest and works that into the show. Now, I think there's been a few occasions in television history where that's happened, but I do love parodies. I do love pop culture parodies of important figures. I mean, you think of Spitting Image and all that back in the 80s, and I think they did a good job here with Marge's likeness and the voice alone as well. Homer really resonating with taking it to the authority figure. Take that, you dumb squirrel.
Like I said, Homer's more of a bit of an idiot. I think more now he'd possibly go on the more Family Guy route and probably rip into her a little bit more, but I don't know. I think cause it's like Homer Simpson was inspired by Fred Flintstone, and Fred Flintstone by the Honeymooners and stuff, and then Family Guy by The Simpsons. But because Simpsons and Family Guy are always going now, Simpsons gets a bit more crude and can be a bit more like Family Guy, where I think it'd be kind of like, I don't know, it'd say something. I think it would be as funny rather than dumb.
Marge manages to hold a hush in at Itchin' Scratchy Studios and at Krusty Lou Studios as well on the Krusty the Clown Show. So much so that Krusty doesn't realise that they're all grown adults in the first 30 seconds. So a message reaches out, and so much so that Roger Miser's getting horrible, cold letters saying people won't even pause for him in the street in their car. Now that is very much like Twitter now. That is very much internet culture.
And this is what it is. It's just, it's always been there, and people kind of forget about it. And all what happens is the crazy people die out.
Yeah, people telling you to kill yourself on paper.
If you get a platform, everyone's always there's always been death messages and stuff like that. But if you give someone an easier way to send that voice off, they're obviously going to do it.
Yeah, it just makes me sad a bit that Mary Berry's on Twitter, and I guarantee she gets kill yourself tweets. No one deserves that, not even her. Even though she's close to death's door, like, come on.
Why Mary Berry?
I know, I've been on a Bake Off hype. I've been on the catch up again.
Fair enough. Just goes, oh, I'm not over Howard's custard in 2012. Hope you die, you fucking skeleton bitch.
Marge has managed to make an impact so much so that she becomes some sort of a consultant. Roger Myers calls her up and wants to see what's happening with this new cartoon they're going to run. They want Itchy to run with an ice cream cone. But no, make it a pie. Pie's easier to draw. I've got a few people in the animation and the graphic design community, and they really resonate with that. I've talked to one of my mates, but I just love Roger's sort of disagreeing. Okay, fine, a pie. Then they've just taken into a vat of acid. But they can't do that, so Marge suggests that they split the pie, and then they both have pie. To me, this is top Marge. This is just mum comedy.
Yeah, disconnected from the world or whatever they're trying to do.
That's different, I'll give you that. But Marge tells the kids that, hey, you can actually watch Itch and Scratch again, and they love it. They can't wait. They rush to sit down and... Oh, cow, what do they get?
They love, they love, they love, they love, they love. Kiss, 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 love, love, love.
Lemonade? Please, I made it just for you. You are my best friend.
Itchy and Scratchy seem to have lost their edge.
Oh, I think it conveys a very nice message of sharing.
I think it sucks.
The Itchy and Scratchy show. New. Oh, I mean, what can you say about this? It's intentionally cringy. It's intentionally soppy. It reminds me of the Americans know it more like Christian animation, like Dave and Goliath, really sickly sweet. But I mean, the voices are great. They've got those ketamine eyes that I've seen in a couple.
See, you say that about Christian animation. I always remember, because I went to Catholic school, I remember this one what I used to watch. We used to watch every Easter, and it was basically a claymation telling the story about Jesus. And it's fucking brutal, man. It's crazy. Like, it actually shows one getting his ear cut off, and then clay-faced Jesus sticks it back on. And I always fucking loved that animation. I always looked forward to it because it was really good animation, even though it's literally the story of Jesus. I was just like, yeah, give me some of that.
But yes, the kids aren't having any of it. They can't stand the voices, so oh God, like my dad says, oh, they need to go and get out and live their lives. And they go out and live their lives in the sun. But in between that, everything seems to be going quite well. But then some historical art seems to be making its way towards Springfield. As well as Chicago, New York, and LA. You know, Springfield's a massive hub for art. But this instills another sort of outrage amongst Marge's good friends. You know, because Michelangelo's David, you know, it's filth. He's not wearing any pants. You can see his doodle. But Marge thinks it's great art. And this is where you get the debate of you can't censor everything and you can't really fight for everything. I try and come at it with pick your hills to die on. I mean, I learned that in my course, you know, when you're pitching screenwriting idea, or if you're coming up against some creative difficulties, you pick one major thing you do not want to change, or maybe very two minor things you won't change for your own creative reasons, but you can't just nitpick everything like you say. You just have to roll with the punches. You have to bring context, and you have to fix it.
It's purely the idea of like for example, what happens in the episode where Marge doesn't like this violent show because obviously it's disgusting and violent, yet this statue, which is classed as art, in her eyes. And it's a better approach as well as like how animation generally is an art form, and it kind of gets forgotten about how it's kind of for kids kind of thing.
Yeah, they do sculpt his penis in the episode. They do make that thing.
Yeah, they don't censor away; they actually generally show it. Not in graphic 4K I want, but you know I've got to go to fucking porn for that one. Oh yeah, I don't like this, so then this is bad. However, I like this other thing, what other people don't like. But what's the difference? Just because I like one thing and don't like the other thing, you know, it's still art. And then you look at it in an animation side where, for example, video games, people don't class those as art. Yet, look how beautiful, like, for example, Red Dead Redemption, how realistic it looks, and testicles on those horses.
That was one of the first reports about it as well. I can attest, though, it's more than just that. It is a very beautiful game.
Them testicles look beautiful on my 4K TV.
Marge goes back on Smartline to defend David's doodle as Marvin Monroe picks it. But I'll just go back because I never mentioned the first Smartline time she visits. And again, this is just really funny to me because Krusty's overly playing up to the camera. Roger Myers is making the very base argument of, oh, you can't complain about X because Y is worse. You know, there was wars. Millions of people died. Oh, I see. Fascinating. And Kent's just taking everything at face value. I love it.
Just Piers Morgan.
Yeah, GMTV, my ass. But Marge is back on Smartline for the second time now. And she actually loves it. She thinks it's great.
Now, Mrs. Simpson, why are you against this statue?
I'm not. I think everyone in Springfield should see it.
Wait a minute. Aren't you Marge Simpson the wacko?
Yes and no.
Hold it. How can you be for one form of freedom of expression like a big naked friend over there and be against another form like Itchy and Scratchy?
Good question.
Well, I guess I can't, which is a shame because I really hate those cartoons.
Oh, yeah? Well, what do you have to say to all those Marge Simpson wannabes out there who wish to suppress David's doodle?
What do you think of Dr. Marvin Monroe then? Because we've not seen him since, we won't see him till, one of the season 1 episodes where he's confronting the family and trying to get him help.
I think, I don't know if it's because when I properly started watching The Simpsons, it had obviously been on for quite a while. It'd been on for 10 plus years at this point. And especially in the later episodes, they make jokes about whether or not he's dead or not. And he was just like, oh no, he's just unpopular.
He was also voiced by Harry Shearer. This is very much the case was with Otto in our Dancing Homer episode. He hated doing Marvin Monroe, and you can see why. Because it's really gravelly, really deep. But nevertheless, I do enjoy it, especially David's Doodle, and I love eating some fried chicken and a bottle of Blue Nana. What the hell is wrong with that? But Marge comes to the consensus that, well, if you defend one thing, you can't really fight for something else because it can contradict, and you can't fight every single battle. So she resigns herself. Itchy and Scratchy is back to the way it was. Marge isn't too happy, even though she's visiting the museum and seeing the great bit of modern art. But it turns out the kids will end up seeing this anyway because they're forcing them. And then we end. What did you think about this ending? We seem to get a lot of sudden endings with these randomly generated episodes now.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's just because it's an earlier episode. It kind of just proves the point what I was saying earlier. Just everything goes in loops, like nothing changes.
All right, let me think about how I'll rate this. I'm going for out of 5. I'm gonna go for 3 mallets out of 5. On the whole, very solid. Again, I feel like I'm going to repeat myself. It's just the ending, the very sudden 5 seconds wrap up. So that's why I'm giving it 3 out of 5.
I'm going to give it 2.5 crazy Marge the Wackos out of 5. Purely because I don't like I said, it's a good classic episode. Nothing particularly bad happens in it, but it's just nothing. The characters don't change, don't develop whatsoever. The fact, I don't know, possibly a bit higher because it just kind of proves that we're still in the same kind of crazy phase we were in the 90s kind of thing, when there's people being offended over nothing.
Alright, we're now gonna swing round that big arm and randomly generate an episode right before your very eyes. Alright, and we are jumping forward to season 4 now, episode 22. Get ready, Cal, for Krusty Gets Cancelled. I don't know, I think initially for me I think this is a good episode. I can't wait to review it.
Lots of cameos in this one.
Mate, you wait till I get on my big trip about the chili peppers, you wait and see. Alright, we hope you can join you then. Like always, if you can like, comment and share our Facebook page, Uncle Mo's Family Feedbag - Simpsons Podcast, and we will see you shortly. Take care.
Come to Uncle Mo's for family fun. It's good, 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 good.
Sounds good.